difference between a bartender and a mixologist?
I'm gonna be real quick about this. Mixologists don't give a shit about anything that's in front of them. They just care about the cocktail. A bartender is tending to the bar. That's what I want to be called. I'm never gonna be a mixologist. I'm a bartender, period. I tend to my guests, I tend to the cocktails. I'm proficient about my knowledge, and I'm efficient about how I produce it.
All right, Brocky here. Another episode of Whiskey and Kicks. We in DC at Jack Earl's with my man, Frank Mills. How you doing, brother?
I'm well, man. I'm having a good time.
Hey, thanks for this, man. Thanks for being here. And,
Absolutely.
I'm really excited about this episode. We have a lot to talk about. So let's tell the people about yourself, man. Who are you? Where you from?
So he started off with my name. I'm Frank Mills. A lot of people like to call me Drink Mills. Joke. But this is home, to be quite honest. Right across the bridge, Northern Virginia, Alexandria and Herndon, where I grew up.
Okay.
With that, I've been in D.C. for the last 5 years now, between working and living. Jack Rose Dining Saloon is my home bar, and it's in Adams Morgan, Washington, D.C., and I actually live in Adams Morgan, so my commute's rather short.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
I drove from Waldorf to get here, bro.
I took my bike or a longboard, depending on the day of the week.
So this is a beautiful situation.
Right.
Yeah, so VA, DC, and now you're here. So your bartender history, man, did you start off in DC or you kind of...
I started off in Virginia, and if anybody does any research on me, you'll find out that the history behind how I got into bar industry is very interesting, to say the least. But realistically, at the first establishment I ever worked at, I was actually a server. And on the day that I actually bartended for the very first time, there was an individual that was bartending there that decided to just leave. They were done.
This is it. There's no 2 weeks or anything.
So for me, I knew the cocktails. I just didn't know how to build them. So I was like, yo, give me a prep list and so forth, so on, and I'll jump back there, right? Later on in that shift, another bartender came in. I stayed behind with that individual, and at that point, by the end of that shift, I was like, yeah, I'm never going back to the service floor. I was like, you guys don't have to hire anybody else. Just teach me how to build these cocktails. And that was history. To be quite honest, I've been rather fortunate to be in a lot of different, fabulous households, whether it be, niche locations, specific to spirit, or establishments that have, wonderful chefs, whether they be on Top Chef or Grammy Award winning or Rising Star or Chef of the Year in DC.
Yeah.
I've been really fortunate to be with awesome restaurant groups, and then, of course, land here at home in the largest whiskey bar in the Western Hemisphere.
I'm trying to tell you, y'all need to get to Jack Rose. If you haven't been there, we'll talk about Jack Rose in a little bit, though. I love this place. So,
Thank you, brother.
Bartending itself, has it taken you outside of the DC area at all?
So luckily for myself, the notion of just like intellect and just understanding what our craft is all about, I really take that serious.
I can tell that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It comes to a point where you come to a realization. Now, this is year 9 for me, being in the restaurant industry, and this is year 8 of bartending. And I realize there are individuals that have been in this industry for twice as long, if not longer, that every day on a daily basis, try to master this craft continuously. So the fact that they take it serious is something that I take serious.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I got to thank my mom for. I'm from Ghana, by the way.
Okay.
So I'm the very first person in my family born in America. Both of my parents are from Ghana. My dad actually still lives there. My mom's mother supposedly was a very excellent cook. That translated to my mom. And she, on all scales and bases, had so many different flavor profiles that I got to cheat off of because I'm the only child. I was the only person there to eat it.
I was going to ask if you had any siblings.
Nope.
Okay.
Nobody to fight off. That's why I was big.
For sure.
But because of that, there were so many flavors that I tasted, whether it's different proteins to different spices to, different additions just to make sure that, the next plate was different from the last, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of helped, it allowed me to elevate my palate. And to say the least, I started realistically honing in on craft bartending at a wine bar in Virginia called Parallel Wine Bar. Now it's actually Parallel Wine and Whiskey Bar.
Oh, wow.
They they've been doing well, to say the least. And they upgraded themselves. And that establishment was where I really started taking it serious. And I would have to say that Vino was truly what allowed me to understand. Once I figured out, varietals, regions, terroir, then I was able to depict stone fruit comparative to cinnamon, to do the minerality,
That's next level, man.
to dryness, to tannins. And that's where now I was able to correlate that to spirits as well as to craft beers, things of that nature.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of where the elevation happened.
Yeah, you guys have questions, man. You come in here, ask questions. These guys are so knowledgeable, and that's one thing I noticed about you. Like, we met recently, maybe a week or so ago.
Exactly.
And I'm like, this guy is well versed. Like, he knows what he's talking about.
Thank you.
And so that's a good look. So you did mention something. I have a question that I didn't have before.
Right.
You mentioned how you expanded your palate. Eating these different things and stuff.
Right.
But for a guy like me, right? So when I drink something, I'm just like, this is good.
Yeah.
This is really good. But you have other guys that say, well, I gotta get this on the front end, and then this and this on the back end. How can one train? Can you train your palate?
Yeah, and I would always say that you have to take in consideration multiple things, but one major part of your senses is your sense of smell. When it comes to what you eat and what you drink, your nose probably is going to be the first thing to contact it if you think about it realistically. So that's probably like 75% of the whole scenario to begin with. So I like to refer to, there's a third-party independent bottler out there for Scotch called the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society.
Okay.
Scotch Malt Whiskey Society takes, they purchase casks from different distilleries, and they, at that point, do a panel blind tasting, and that panel ends up putting on a description in each of the bottle that starts off with the nose, the beginning, the mid, and the finish of the palate. When you think of things that way, you're not just trying to grasp on one complete concept, but you're like, all right, I get this here, then it started this way, then in the mid, it got richer, and then on the finish, it was dry, but then I ended up picking up this specific flavor, right? That's how you start to break down, do I know what I'm talking about, or am I just really good at adjectives?
Okay, right. So what you're telling me right now is that I need to drink more.
And, this is a cliche line of mine. I'm not gonna lie, Brock. It's a cliche line of mine. If you've been to Jack Rose before or any other establishment of mine, people are always like, "Well, how is it that you become well versed?" And I'm like, "Well, practice makes perfect in just about every situation."
Right.
Well, I practice drinking often.
There you go. So y'all look at my Instagram, y'all see it every night. I got a different drink I'm putting up there. I'm just trying to expand my palate.
There it
You know what I'm
is.
saying? Just trying to get this
He's
thing
parched,
trained up, man.
but he's learning. He's learning.
So, do you have you noticed a particular culture among bartenders in the DC area that maybe distinguishes you guys from other people? Yeah, that's a yes. Let's go.
We at DC, we have a few different sayings about ourselves that kind of travels regardless of if we're there or not. But DC Rising. It started with the Washington Wizards. I'm a huge sports fan. I got it tattooed all over
the
me.
mean jersey.
Obviously.
That's right. It's a legend
but
right there.
Yes, he is my favorite, and then Sean Taylor. That's like back to back. I'm a defensive guy. You know what I mean?
doubt.
But DC Rising. Well, we now consider DC Rose. When it comes down to it, we're going through a renaissance. Whether it be the fact that we just recently got Michelin star ratings in our city, comparative to just about every chef, nationally, internationally, is starting an establishment within the last 3 years here in Washington, D.C.
That's dope.
To the point where we are getting recognition on a national scale when it comes to what we do here with our industry and our scenes, what we've emulated from New York and Chicago and LA and San Francisco and Austin, which we really truly care about, and we really want to show that at the same time we're trying to put forth our best foot, which is quality, right? DC is one of those locations where you initially think about it, you think of the nation's capital, you think of politicians, you think of all the monuments and museums, right? So I like to segue on, that's Washington. The DC side is the life. You know what I mean? It's the music on U Street. It's the real food. It's the entities of individuals just living their lives, the young professionals that came here. And then, yes, all the different walks of life. And because there's so many different walks of life, there's so many different venues you can go to. And now the elevation of quality has been superior. Sorry, I was about to curse real sincere.
Oh, we can curse on here. It's all
Worse
good.
than me then.
It's whiskey and kicks. I mean, I don't want to make Jack Rose look bad or nothing.
Hey, no, we're not stressed here. Every single person has a couple of words by the end of the night. Works here.
There you go.
But no, the realistic scenario for me is that we pride ourselves in uplifting each other. That's why DC rose, because it wasn't, all right, we have competition amongst ourselves. We love to see somebody, though, go and be bigger than what they started out with.
Yeah.
But we're all there to help each other and support. I just literally came back from Miami a couple of days ago to watch my friend Scotty, who just won as a finalist for Bacardi Legacy competition, which is an annual competition from Bacardi, which is international. It's global because he's about to go to the global finals in Mexico in May.
He won the joint.
He won it.
Word.
Him as well as a homeboy named Mo. They won it, and I'm so happy for both of them. You know why? Because East Coast to Beast Coast, let's what?
There you
West
go.
Coast, baby. Yeah.
I dig that. I love it, yo. I love it. That's good, buddy.
So my thing about that is you can't go somewhere without our presence being shown. Last year, we had a finalist for Speed Rack. It's a female competition about speed and building cocktails. Jenny Felt, great friend of mine. She won her region and Southwest region or Southeast region. My apologies, in Atlanta, and then we followed her up to New York in the finals.
Oh,
There is no way you didn't know DC was in the building.
Oh, word.
There was no way you didn't know DC was in
Heavy
the
in
building.
there,
And
huh?
I might have been the loudest person, but I mean that's kind of how it works, you know.
That's what we do, man. That's what's up.
Yeah,
That's
so
good,
we're really
brother.
happy with the culture here. It's kind of incestuous. We're a smaller city comparative to some of the major markets. So we see each other a lot. And with that, we get to talk about what we do. We get to, bounce ideas off of each other. And we're really supportive. New establishments open, or if there's, a pop-up, or if there's something that, needs attention, we follow through.
That's dope.
Yeah.
And it's it's doing this Whiskey and Kicks thing and talking to people. Everyone knows you guys know each other.
Without a doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
Like
So-
Jacob, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
so you did a shoot with Jacob. Me and Jacob actually were part of the earliest staff of Barcelona on 14th Street.
Okay.
Right. And so that's how we met. And then due to competitions, I got hired to be the VIP lounge bartender for Moonrise Festival, which is a music festival up in Maryland. I brought Jacob with me. You know what I mean? We rocked it out together.
Nice.
It's like,
I couldn't imagine you two dudes together.
Oh, can you imagine?
Crazy, yo.
He's a funny somebody. I'll
He's
tell
a
you
funny
that.
dude, man. That's my guy right there. You know what I mean? And yeah, he put me on to you, and then I go on your Instagram and I see that you was bartending over at Surfers Bar for their Fresh Prince
Exactly.
the event.
For
You know what I'm saying?
French's
Which I was
event,
supposed to be at, but I couldn't make it.
It
But,
was a great time.
I
to
can
say the
only
least.
imagine, dude. I had a lot of good nights in that place.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good money, man. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Frank, what we making, man? What we getting into?
So, if you know me well enough, a lot of people ask when you're behind a bar, what do you like to make? I like to make all cocktails. But what I like to drink, my favorite classic cocktail is called the Boulevardier. A lot of people would like to consider the Boulevardier the whiskey Negroni.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I have an issue with that.
Oh, here we go. What we
This is
got?
my thing, man. You gotta look into your history before you start claiming things, man.
Uh-oh.
Boulevardier came first. So it's made the exact same way. You substitute, say, the gin for the whiskey. My preference bourbon. I tend to like things sweeter comparative to spice, which would be rye. Don't hate me for that. I still drink rye, trust me. With that being said, it is equal parts bourbon, sweet vermouth, and Campari.
Okay.
Campari being a bitter aperitif, typically made with grapefruits. In that regard, it's one of those spirits that individuals, you either love it or you hate it, and that's based off of the bitter notions of it, the drier back end of it. And then at that same notion, the sweet vermouth, I tend to use Carpano Antica.
Okay.
Boom.
right.
Actually, let's just backtrack. I always ask, before I ask for Boulevardier, if you have Carpano Antica.
If they don't,
If they don't, then I'll ask for Coca Torino. If they don't have that, then I'll ask for a new cocktail. Everybody be more so worried about their whiskey or how much of it's going in. I'm worried about the sweet vermouth.
yeah, that's funny as hell. Yeah.
True story.
sure.
And then of course the whiskey, bourbon, rye. If you want it smoky, peated Scotch, so be it. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's
get
do
to
it, man.
All right. So I like mine on the rocks. In that regard, it allows it to be a morphing cocktail. Because of the three components being equal, one is going to shine out more than the rest initially. That's going to be your Campari. The Campari is just, the bitter is always going to overtake. So when I tell people that I like, Boulevardiers, and they jump on it immediately and say that, I have to let them know that the bitter part in the portion is going to definitely show up right away. But the sweet vermouth, especially Carpano Antica, being denser, richer, darker, is actually going to be one of those things that kind of gives the balance between the sweet of the bourbon and the bitter of the Campari. Gotcha. And as the ice breaks down and starts to dilute it, because it is an all-spirit cocktail, the sweetness starts to rise. So towards the finish, it does morph and it becomes a more straightforward cocktail comparative to one entity shining more than the other.
Gotcha.
All right, so as we talk about Carpano Antico, we might as well just get it in there.
I like to call that my drink's settling down a little bit.
Yeah. Boom.
Word.
All right, so it's 1 ounce across the board for each of them, 3 ounce cocktail. A lot of people would like to do like 3/4, and then 1.5, so they have more booze and more whiskey inside of it, right? But at the end of the day, it's all going to be spirit, so you're already drinking a high booze cocktail.
There's no damn pineapple juice in this.
Nothing you can do about that one, right?
You know what I mean?
All right, so we got our Campari. Lastly, I'm going to use Willet 80. It's a
man. I've been seeing this bottle online.
So yeah, so Bottled and Bond, most recent. It is actual KBD juice, coming from Barnestown, Kentucky. It is 4 to 5 year Bottled and Bond. All of its mash coming from the same exact season. Willet, I am very, very fond of, especially all of their single family reserve products that they had in the past. This one has a mosaic of all of, kind of the important influencers in the industry. Yeah. And the owner, Bill Thomas and Jack Rose, is somewhere hidden on this bottle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's on this actual bottle.
That's dope. That's dope.
Oh, he's right there. He's like right at the bottom, right above
That's
Kentucky.
It's crazy.
Sitting at a booth downstairs
That's dope.
in the whiskey saloon. So go ahead. Real simplistic. Oh, by the way, most people, the reason they know that I love this cocktail is because I actually have it tattooed on my forearm.
We're going to get a shot of that before we leave today. When I came in here to talk to you, I'm like, we'll talk about, whatever beverage you want to make. We'll talk. You're like, Boulevardier.
So,
like, boom,
now, mind you, we could have made multiple different cocktails. A fun little fact about the Boulevardier, the name comes from also an attachment to another name, which is the Bon Vivant. The Bon Vivant is an individual, or a Boulevardier is an individual, typically a male, who was the man of his city, young, affluential, dressed well, man of the boulevard is basically the notion of a Boulevardier, hence the Bon Vivant. I am not saying that is me. I just really like the cocktail.
You sound like my kind of guy, though. This guy.
Hey, but I'm cool with it.
Man of the boulevard.
Yeah, correct. We got a thing about getting excess water out of cocktails.
For sure.
And nobody got time for that when we're drinking all spirit.
That's expert level 99999.
So mind you, I only made one, so I'm going to go ahead and pour yours. I'm going to make another because...
I'm not going to argue with that.
Correct. Because I need one too.
There you go.
And then the garnish itself, always an orange peel. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Express those oils out.
Oh, yeah. And then once again, that whole notion of smell, right? So the oils have already been broken down. If you look at the top of the spirit, you can actually sitting on top, kind of like an oil slick. But in that same regard, as you end up touching it, you're still building off of, your senses.
That's
I'm going to make
crazy.
one more. Yeah. And then it becomes, an even better experience. Let's put it
for
that
sure.
way.
That's a slick move right there.
Yeah.
I never even thought of that, man. That's why I'm not a bartender.
We'll use the same ice. It's already bruised. Won't hurt nobody.
I'm gonna wait for you before I drink this, man.
So right behind us is a Virginia-based 757 Virginia Beach, urban shoe and culture store called Commonwealth. Commonwealth, Virginia. And they, I didn't even know this when I started working here for about a year, but I mean, I'm talking, it's literally right behind Jack Rose. I go out the back door and I take about 10 steps and I'm there.
You're right there.
Yeah. So every so often, since I don't smoke cigarettes, I need a cigarette break myself,
Yeah.
And that's just me sneaking in there and seeing what fire I want to bring home with me. There's been multiple times I've gone over there and a skateboard has followed me back in the chat.
I got a dope pair of Sauconys that I got from them.
Yeah.
It's a Commonwealth Saucony mashup. But
Solid.
yeah, man.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers, brother.
Salute, dude.
Oh, yeah. Man, it just did like 3 different things
You
just
see what
now.
I'm saying? It's a very balanced cocktail.
Oh.
1, because of how it's proportioned, but 2, you get the initial. Actually, you get the density of the cocktail first, especially since you're using bourbon comparative to spice. Then you get a little bit of sweetness, and then it finalized with that dry tannic that just continues the lasting taste, right? The citrus itself is just kind of always there as an
It's all over the
aromatic, you know
place.
what I mean? But I literally can drink these all day long.
Let me tell you something really rare. Something really rare just happened. A first sip. Somebody's first sip was bigger than Brocky's first sip. Usually I'm ahead. You see that? Look at that. You beat me, yo. Usually I leave people in the dust. You know what's funny, man, was something really dope, man. I was talking to a friend of mine who got me into whiskey.
Yeah.
And literally got me into whiskey. He's moved out to Oklahoma now, back home. And I was like, yo, man, I said, yo, man, I got Jack Rose. And he was like, word. I was like, yeah, Frank Mills, man. He was like, Frank Mills, he was like, that sounds familiar. I said, black guy. He was like, did he have dreads? I said, I think I overheard him saying he had
Yeah,
dreads.
I had dreads.
He was like, yo, that was my favorite bartender when he was there.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, you know, he's like, that was my favorite bar. I got the
Yeah.
text to show you, too.
No way.
He was like, that was my
Yeah, I
favorite
had
bartender
dreads.
when I was there. He was like, I think he went away for a while to
Yeah.
another place, and then he came back or something like that.
Right.
Yeah,
So I split my time between a couple of places in Adams Morgan. Roofers Union being one of them, Smoke and Barrel being the other. I was their beverage director, and I was one of their roofers. I was one of the opening bartenders, and I split my time between here and there. So wasn't that I left? It's just that certain days of the week I was elsewhere.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Because this is now almost year 4 of being a Jack Rose, and you know it's something that's very prideful. I gotta say, man, like. Thank you, this entity right here. You know, because realistically, I can just about go anywhere in the world and say the name Jack Rose or wear my Jack Rose hoodie,
And that's it.
and a conversation starts.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not, you know, something to be scuffed at because, you know, we're definitely an institution compared to the establishment.
For
You
sure.
know? The way we look at it is we've been here for 7 years. We want to be here for another 93.
Jack
You know
Jack
what I
Rose,
mean?
7 years. Jack Rose.
7 years.
Okay.
And we want to be here for at least another 93, you know? And that notion is not because we can be boisterous and say that we you know, are the largest whiskey selection in the Western Hemisphere, or that, you know, we're in Washington, D.C., the capital, so that's where it should be. It's just realistically, it's an entity, man, that we just want everybody to enjoy. That's why every single spirit on the wall is up for grabs.
Straight up.
It's not a museum.
It's not the show.
It's
not
not
the
a
show.
collective. Please come drink with me.
Yeah,
I'll make
straight
sure
up.
you enjoy your time here.
You see something up there? They got those ladders. They move those ladders around. For sure. Yeah, Jack Rose is a very dope establishment, man. So I've heard rumors. I don't know if it's folk legend. So there's a couple gentlemen that walk around Jack Rose all the time, right?
Yeah.
There's a younger gentleman. He knows a lot about whiskey.
Chris.
It's Chris, right? With the
Yeah.
sweaters, right? Always wear the
Exactly.
sweaters.
So Chris is a sweater, vest, and jacket. Man, he's a dapper young man, to say
He's
the
a
least.
dapper young fellow,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I definitely want to have a
Right.
conversation.
So he's one of
with
our
him
whiskey
sometime.
advisors, and he treats whiskey like a college exam. Like, he breaks it down to a T where he's like, you know what, I got no choice but get a 4.0 on this,
Straight
right?
up.
And so ironically, when he started working here, it's because he went to University of Maryland in College Park and came here because he was drinking whiskey in his dorm room well before he was
Straight
able to
up.
legally purchase it.
Right.
So, you know, around 21, he came here. He's 25 years old now, you know what I mean? Well, let's just put that out there. A 25-year-old is our whiskey advisor.
Yo,
Kid's sharp.
it's next level. I
Sharp.
didn't even know that. I knew he was
Yeah.
a young dude because
Yeah.
I'm old as hell.
25 years old, sharp
Word.
as a whip. I go to him for a lot of information outside of what the Google Monster in my pocket and all of the trainings, as well as the different distilleries and stuff that we've gone to, toured, and had brand ambassadors and reps come here. But Chris is a stud when it comes to whiskey, and we really appreciate having him in the building, to say
Dope,
the
man.
least. We
That's-
have a
that's
few
dope.
other whiskey advisors that we definitely should give shout out to. Thank you guys as well. Don't think I'm leaving you out.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about Chris, you know.
Oh
he's
yeah,
a
for
beast.
sure. I mean, you
Yeah.
shout out whoever.
Yeah.
Just do it. You know what I'm saying? Put him out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
People need to
right,
know.
right.
And then there's an older gentleman who walks around.
Everybody knows him. But
Right?
if you don't know him, he's Old Man Whiskey, aka Santa Claus Whiskey,
Yeah,
aka
yeah.
Harvey Fry.
Harvey Fry,
Harvey
okay.
Fry is one of my favorite people, period, in the entire world.
Word.
Like, he may not know this, but I think he does. We vibe really hard. We just get along. You know what I mean? We even have a beer and cast strength Isla Scotch, peated Scotch, right? So it's an IPA because Harvey drinks IPAs, and he drinks them inside of Collins glasses, right?
Yeah,
and then 1 ounce shot of a cast strength peated whiskey. Typically, it's my favorite $10 dram in the building, Ardbeg Ugadal, right? So we'll go with that. Usually it'll be like Flying Dog Truth and Ardbeg Ugadal, but that's the Harvey Fry, and it's because literally all day long that's what Harvey will do. And you're like, you'll see him walk around. He gives zero fucks whatsoever. He will just roll up on people and just
He
be
sure
like,
will, yo.
"This is what you need to drink. This is why, and the shit that's in your glass is terrible." You know what I mean?
passion.
and 100%. And he literally looks like Santa Claus's, degenerate cousin. But you like
sure.
you can't do anything but respect him because he's smart as a whip. He understands everything about whiskey. He's one of the largest whiskey collectors in period.
I've heard.
Period. He's got probably around like 4,000 to 5,000 bottles in his house right now.
I've heard a lot of the bottles here are his.
So this is the thing. All right. So Harvey's like whiskey mascot Jack Rose, right? So he's not an owner. He's a Scotch malt whiskey guy. That's what we actually put on his card. But he does have a solidified Jack Rose card. But what happens is, Bill Thomas and Steve King, who are the true proprietors of Jack Rose, they're American whiskey guys. And so when they opened this establishment, comparative to bourbon, which their other two establishments prior to, and then Blue Room prior to that, it was more so based off of the fact that they could bring whiskey all together in one home. Harvey was that seed that was allowed them to bud into the Scotch.
Yeah, that makes a lot
right?
of sense.
We actually have more Scotch than we have American whiskey.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, in this building. But I'll tell you this much: the American whiskey won last year.
Oh, yeah?
Kick butt. There's a sincere renaissance going on.
Nothing like some bourbon, man.
Gotta love bourbon, man.
Bourbon,
I love bourbon. So Harvey is the entity that allows us to get some of our rarer, like older dusties, and then Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, which we talked about earlier. I don't know if I'm supposed to be divulging this information, but he's the only. Well, I'm a member too, but he's the only actual member purchasing. You know what I mean? So what we have, and we're one of the largest. There's 10 society spots in the nation. When I first started working here, there was only 4, right? That carries Scotch Malt Whiskey Society.
Okay.
We're one of the bigger collections outside of Scotland.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Right. And so Harvey definitely is the reason why we have those. And he will prove it by going behind the bar and grabbing them from time to time.
For sure, but I bet.
We just have to keep eyes on him. Right?
Right.
What are you doing, Harvey?
You feel stumbling around, huh?
That is not an oyster shell.
Well, one of the dope things about Jack Rose, and I'll tell everybody, I've been coming here for years, is that it's a huge place. And we're upstairs right now, and it's a huge place, but you still get an intimate experience. So whatever bartender you choose, you don't really have a bad seat.
We have 5 total bars in this building. You have our main whiskey saloon that houses the majority of our whiskey. Of course, the what do we call it? A lot of people like to call it the Beauty and the Beast bell wall, like library. Yeah. Below that, we have Dram and Grain, which we're extremely proud of. It's our exclusive creative craft cocktail bar. Where we allow ourselves to have, it's a small setting that we allow ourselves to have, very one-on-one experiences with our guests and interactions to the point where we change the program up, depictive of, really setting ourselves apart from anybody else. It takes about 3 hours every single day. Everything from the bitters, the tinctures, the syrups, the shrubs, the sodas are all made in house. Right, yeah. So so that's something for us. And then up here where we're on the top floor, which is what we call our terrace. You have the main terrace bar. The bar that we're in right now is our balcony room, which is mainly our PDR, our private dining room. It's the most aesthetically pleasing. It's unfinished wood, exposed brick, fireplace, super sexy and quaint. And then in the warmer seasons, on the opposite end of the terrace, we have our tiki bar, and our tiki bar, is based off of tiki cocktails, rum forward, warm weather beach style lifestyle.
Yeah, dope. I can taste, like you said, the sweetness
It's
coming
sweet and
up.
come right?
Yeah, it made me think of simple syrup, but there's no
I
simple syrup in
I
it.
honestly, legit, like as you can see, like I kind of drink it in thirds. Like I take my first major sip, like you said, and then like I just took my second. It's about time to get my last one.
There you go. That's what I'm
We'll
talking
make
about.
some more.
All right, man. So let's talk about what you have going on. You told me a little something. Let's let the people know, man. What we talking about here?
So let's just put it out there. I not only bartend, but luckily because of bartending, I fell into creating a product that I felt was an absolute necessity. It's called Drink Lock Reverse Coasters. It's a coaster mat that you would use just like a bev nap. It's 5.5 square inches. But say in the time period you need to, head outside and smoke a cigarette, or step off to use the restroom, or it's dimly lit in stranger danger possibly. The top layer of a Drink Lock Reverse Coaster is a removable adhesive seal. I don't have one with me. I apologize. I wasn't thinking.
It's all good.
That is able to go over top of your beverage container and become a physical barrier to deter the possibility of
Somebody drugging
beverage
your drink or
contamination, roofing, so that it's being called due to rohypnol, as well as premeditated crimes. The biggest issue and biggest notion behind why we started this, I say we, my best friend and myself at the time lived together. He witnessed multiple of his guests while going to the bathroom, leaving straws over top of their drinks, right? I had an incident at an old establishment of mine. The place I worked at had some lady put a bev nap over top of her margarita, and when she came back, it was off. Now, I had witnessed that, Mother Nature had blew it away. The wind had just blown it away. But she was very adamant on the fact that she did not want to drink it. At the time, I didn't take in consideration that she could possibly be, a past survivor of sexual assault, or, has known somebody that it's happened to, or just very mindful and cautious of, her beverage in general. So Drink Lock was concepted based off of that and just off of due diligence of producing something that could be a viable, resolution for, peace of mind in any social drinking environment. On top of that, it's literally a seal that goes over top of your drink, full prevention. So literally is when we release it, now that we're working on version 2 that we're definitely trying to get funding for.
There you go.
Cha-ching. It will be the only prevention product on the market.
I've never even heard of anything like it, man.
There's nothing on the market, period, right now, which stresses us out, but very prideful that, I could be the vessel to bring that to the world.
So the seal that goes over your drink, when you take it off, does it?
So
no
what allowed us to get our initial provisional patent on it, in the uniqueness of it, is when removed, one, leaves no residue, no adhesive, no compound on it. It acts like a sticker. But when adhered to any surface, when pulled away, it produces a void imprint. That void imprint is literally a transparency that you see that says Drink Lock Void, Drink Lock Void, Drink Lock Void, Drink Lock Void. That allows you to visually see that somebody's compromised your drink or broken the seal.
That's dope,
right?
man.
Now, what allowed us to realize that, all right, that's cool, but what's the real safety factor behind it outside of just shielding off somebody from putting something in it or anything being in it? And you also have to take in consideration what we call the 4 reasons why somebody would do such thing, and the social or the subliminal notions behind it. And one is the BRB effect, right? Put napkins on top of our drinks,
right,
all day, every day. I see it every single day, and that's just to tell me that seat is yours, that drink is yours, you'll be right back, right? Secondly, of course, you don't want anything to go in your drink. You go to a picnic or you go to the beach, you don't want sand as well as you don't want flies inside of your drink, right? Sure. You don't want somebody who's talking too closely to spit inside of your drink, whatever, dust, all be, right? Third, most subliminal, the one that people weren't talking about up until this past year, when the sexual assault and accusation climate rose and we really brought the social reform into mindset was the fact that we don't want anybody having access to our drink.
For sure.
Right? That's a big deal. Whether it's a negative stigma or whether it's, individuals like talking about it, behind closed door, it's real. And it happens way too often, still to this day. So the last one is the one I like to consider the most at the bar, right? Because on my end, as a bartender, I have to take into light. You are financially attached to that drink. Whether you're parched, you are here to have a better day, or you're an alcoholic.
Whatever you might have gone through.
Whatever it may be, you want this drink and you paid me for it, so it is yours the second I put it down in front of you.
For sure.
Mr. Bartender, Mrs. Bartender, don't take my beverage.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, okay, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those are all the reasons why people
Come
put
back,
napkins.
your drink is gone. It's like, what the fuck?
hell? But mind you, it's easy for us. There's damn near a 300% markup behind
Right.
these bars, right?
Right.
So like at that point, yeah, I'll make you another. Easy. I'll make you a half if that's all you had. So be it. But to safeguard all of that, the Drink Lock comes in with the last portion of it, which is the second safety feature, which is what we call the DL number. It's a literal number on there that is individualized. None of them are the same. So therefore, you can reference DL 101 comparative to DL 102 comparative to DL 103. When you walk to the restroom, you come back. If your same number is still on there and there are no voids, it's pretty much foolproof. Without ever, well, I'm going to say it, without ever saying anything in an actual advertisement about Drink Lock, I'm very fortunate to have produced the condom of the beverage industry.
Straight up. That's straight up. That's
Yeah.
a
So
great
right
analogy.
now we're really trying hard to get to a point where by the end of the year, fourth quarter this year, we're marketing and manufacturing. The adhesive is our biggest problem because of saturation. Stickers don't stick to things that are wet.
Straight up.
You know what I mean? Our initial product, our initial prototype had a hard time with the adhesive because it was for an application that was different than what we were using it for, right? But we reverse engineered another product and made it the Drink Lock Reverse Coaster.
Okay.
So now we're back at the drawing board, and it's going to cost us a lot,
bet.
say the least. But it's not a if thing anymore. It's a when.
That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about. Man.
it's a when.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
I have multifacets to myself, but the reason I come to work is for Drink Lock.
I'll be able to tell people down the line, I had the Drink Lock Reverse Coaster
Yeah.
guy on my show.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's a great concept,
Thank
man. It's
you.
like,
Thank you.
as
Thank
many
you.
times I've been to a bar and I've walked away and I've, put a napkin on and I've pushed my chair up against the bar and I never thought about something that can, for some reason,
there's so many
napkin is a
there's so
false
many detection
security.
products on the market. I am so happy about every single one. If you told me 10 years ago when I was a football player, when I was just about to get into the beverage industry, that I'd be so passionate about sexual reform, about rape culture and the end of it, I would have laughed at you and kept it moving, right? I can't tell you how much it bothers me, whether it's somebody who has a conversation about whether or not people are actually getting roofied, to whether or not it's a joke, or that didn't happen to that person, or they're not taking them serious, or all the stuff that's happening in social media right now, Larry Nassar, Michigan State, all that shit bothers me to the point where it's like there's no end to the fact. I want every single product to succeed, whether it be the young lady at GW right down the street, no naps, I'm paying attention, happy about it, or the college students at NC State that created Undercover Colors. Right? And they came out right around the first time we launched our first Kickstarter for Drink Lock, which was about 2.5 years ago.
Word.
Right? Yeah, I want them to succeed. Bring it to light. Forget that. Fuck everything that everybody's talking about. The realistic scenarios, we need to end rape culture as much as we need to, deal with other social reform at all times. I mean, it's Washington, D.C. So for me, I literally can't move because this is the place I need this to start, and then I can take it elsewhere.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's good work, man.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
It's good,
appreciate
good
that.
energy behind that, and I know for sure, in the short amount of time that I've known you, that you're gonna be successful.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? I feel that, and the energy is great. So that's good. That's good stuff, man. So we're gonna move on from that. I know you have a whole other.
Don't worry about
plethora
that.
of things going on, but we don't have time to get into that stuff. We have some sneakers to talk about.
Damn
There's
right.
some boots and shoes. But before we go to the boots and shoes,
Talk to me.
I have two quick little questions.
All right.
What's the difference between a bartender and a mixologist?
Ha. I'm gonna be real quick about this. Mixologists don't give a shit about anything that's in front of them. They just care about the cocktail. A bartender is tending to the bar. That's what I want to be called. I'm never gonna be a mixologist. I'm a bartender, period. I tend to my guests, I tend to the cocktails. I'm proficient about my knowledge, and I'm efficient about how I produce it.
Word. That's dope.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah. Second question. I love that. Second question. What's a proper old fashioned?
Whiskey, bitters, sugar, and a citrus peel.
That's it.
That's it. Unless you're drinking Wisconsin's, which I love, which started off as brandy, switched into whiskey. There's a muddled orange as well as muddled cherry, not maraschino, brandy or Luxardo only. If you bring one of those damn cosmetic fucking cherries to my bar, I'm gonna throw you out.
Yes!
Straight up. You can muddle that, you can shake it. I actually love those. Like I said, I like things sweet.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about proper old fashioned.
Proper
old fashioned started with brandy or cognac or whatever you want to call it. Well, depending on where it's from. And then incorporated, yes, just bitter spirit, sugar, and then eventually an express orange peel or express lemon peel if it's rye, because the spice needs that. You know.
People argue a little bit between
It depends,
rye and
you know what I
bourbon.
mean? Yeah, so I mean that's on you. I mean that's the same thing with
Right.
like a Manhattan. I mean it's personal preference. I'm not going to judge you. I just want you to enjoy it.
Man, that's enough. Let's
Yeah.
talk about some sneakers. What
Let's
you
talk.
got?
Let's talk.
Let's
All
talk
right.
about sneakers. Let's do that. Yeah. No, wait a minute. Let me set this up. So we did an episode with chaplains
Yeah,
in DC,
Jacob
right?
Simpson.
So my man Jake said,
Boop.
you know, hey man, I know this guy who works at Jack Rose who has 300 pair of shoes. I said, give me his guy. Give me the information now. So he said,
mind you, it's not 300 pairs of shoes, all right? Because I've sold a lot of shoes in the past.
Right.
But it's well over 100. Let's put it that way.
Right,
Like we're probably in the 200 range. You know
there
what
you
I mean?
go.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
all right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he gave me the information. I reached out, and here we are. So
All right.
let's talk about some shoes, man. What we got? Let's talk about why
I love shoes so much.
why you love shoes so much.
Thank you, Uncle Eddie.
Oh, Eddie.
My Uncle Eddie is my dad's youngest brother. My mom and my dad are both the eldest of 6, right?
Okay.
Somehow. And I'm the only child, and I'm the firstborn. Like, duh. Like, they just didn't want to have any more kids. They,
Right.
They raised 5 each. So my Uncle Eddie, being my dad's youngest brother, when I was 5 years old, bought me a pair of Carmine 6's Michael Jordans, right? They're red, white, and just like tall, beautiful, and for a short little African-American boy, like it made me feel real cool, you know what I
Right.
mean? They're my holy grails. They're number one. They've released a couple of times in the past. Mind you guys, when I'm about to pull out all of my shoes, every single one's in boxes. There's a reason, because I have really big feet, all right? So size 13.
Size is
It's a size 13. But the true story is that my actual foot is a 14 and a half, but like I like my feet right on the shoe box, right? I even used to work in footwear in the past, right? So I haven't, like these shoes, I took out the laces because the laces were all like dirty and whatnot. I cleaned the shoes off for you guys and whatnot. But these are the Carmine
buddy.
6s, right? So these are my holy grail of Jordans. He bought them for me. I think I was in elementary school and whatnot. But I'd have to say, you know, it was more so just the notion behind it. He just made me really happy the day that I got these shoes.
No
you know what I
doubt.
mean? And my grandmother wouldn't let me wear them for like 6 months straight.
Get out of here. You
I
serious?
swear to God, man, I wore them once and then she put them in her closet and hid them, and I used to go there.
Why did she do that?
Yo, so this is the thing. So his sister above her, right? So my uncle, matter of fact, we're gonna leave the Holy Grails out the whole time.
Yeah, because look, because I want to talk about this. The best for me, the best part about this shoe is the tongue and this
the
back
end.
end.
Because you can't pull up your shoe
at the
without
back
these.
of that. It's
You
the
stick your big ass feet in there. But true story. All right, so let's get back to the fact that when I was a kid, by the time I was in middle school, nobody could tell me act your age, not your shoe size, because I was wearing a 14 and I was 13.
13
right?
years
So I've been very fortunate to be able to keep a lot of my shoes, whether or not I realized that I really liked them or not when I was younger. You know what I mean? A lot of them have been battered. I've had to throw them away. A lot of shoes I've sold. There was one point in time I sold literally 7 gray pairs of shoes just because I was like, to one ex-girlfriend, Groutfits. Gray outfits. She was
What? Groutfits?
Groutfits.
Groutfit?
Groutfits. So she was so bothered by Groutfits. It kind of gave me that's her word.
Yeah,
but
dope,
at the
man.
time prior to that, I was
funny.
bothered by gray outfits.
Yeah.
So So I started selling Wolf Gray 5s, Cool Gray
Yeah,
11s,
yeah.
you know, a couple pairs of Sauconys, DC, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A couple pairs of New Balances, DC,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But yes, the Holy Grails are definitely the Carmine 6s. They're my go-tos straight down. And my Uncle Eddie bought those for me the first time, and I can never forget the shoes. And I don't even wear a lot of red.
That's a 7, right?
That's a 7.
Yeah, those are 7s,
Yeah,
right?
no, they're 6s. These are 6s.
These are 6s.
I got a pair of 7s here for you, though.
Okay.
So, second pair of shoes, because we love DC.
It's DC all day right
DC
here.
all day.
That DC all day right there.
Tell you what.
I've never owned a pair, son.
You never owned a pair of foam posits?
Nah.
All right. So the thing about this is that people like know foam posit ones attached to like Penny Hardaway, right?
Yeah.
But foam posit ones don't have the check mark on them, right? Foam posit pros have the check mark on them. This is a hands down DC shoe. Like foam posits are 100% all DC.
All day.
Every day,
All
every
day.
single color you're gonna find on the street somewhere, whether it be blue, whether it be gold, whether it be eggplant, whether it be Antarctic
Doesn't
black,
matter.
it don't matter. But my favorites are the pearls, hands down. And this is an older rendition. They came out with a newer one. They're slightly white. I was like, yeah, deuces. Mine are still clean. So number three, actually the box is here, but they're on my feet. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these off.
All right, what we got?
And this is for specific reason. I know you guys noticed that it says "Make Africa Great Again." Africa has always been great. I'm from Ghana, West Africa. I love it. What I'm just saying is, this is from the Jadenia concert. You know what I mean? But it's kind of a nice thing.
Little something real
Little
quick. Throw
something.
that out there.
But
Look at
these
how that
right
match
here,
up.
right. These are the Black History Month 3s,
Yes, sir.
right? So these are a definite limited edition shoe that I am very fond of. I've been very happy with. A lot of people love the 3s. 3s might be one of Jordan's favorite silhouettes.
3s are the best Jordan.
That's your favorite
Yeah,
Jordan?
My favorite.
hands
I got
down?
about 5
yeah,
pairs.
right. So black cements, white cements, true blues, whatever it may be, right? I got them, but
Dornbeckers,
yes.
the red joints.
Sheesh.
I got those at the crib.
Right. So these are one of my favorites, the Black History Month 3s, and I figured it's February right now, so you know.
Those are heavy, man.
Yeah, we represent these
It
bad
has
boys
so
right
many
here.
details.
Right.
You know,
right.
with the
yeah,
you know
with
what
the
I'm
Black
saying?
History Month
yeah,
like spoken
you know,
on the
right?
inside. You have the you know what is it? The Black History Month colors and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
It's
it's
just
black
little
gold.
details.
It's excellent. Let me put my shoes back on. These are another DC pair of shoes that I just
Yo.
wanted to bring to light, right? Because of the colorway as well as, you know, who they are representing. So these are Kevin Durant pair of shoes, right? So these are, what are they?
It's crazy, son.
Kevin Durant 7s, right? Kevin Durant 7s, Nikes, just, you know, put them in your pocket. Like all of the things that, you know, we're all about. You know, KD is from, you know, he's from Maryland. Even if, you know, he didn't want to come play with the Wizards, it is what it is.
Whatever.
Right. But definitely representing hometown.
I've never
and
seen
this-
these joints.
Right.
No front.
Yeah. Most
I've
people,
seen a lot of sneakers, but I've never seen
you
these.
never seen these? Yeah.
Nope.
So like, I've been rather fortunate. There was one point in time there wasn't a single finish line in a 20-mile radius that didn't know my voice.
Word.
If I called them, they'd be like, "Oh, what's up?" Like if I
Frank.
called them and they'd be like, "What's up, Frank? Yeah, we got a size 13 in those." Or like no BS. Like I didn't wait the Carmines. I didn't wait in line for those.
Straight up.
I got a call at 12 o'clock. Like, yeah, come now. Now that the line's gone,
You're good.
You're good. Come get those. No
Boom.
BS. Yeah.
That's a good space to be in.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
it was a problem though.
That's a blessing.
At one point in time, like, all right, mind you, the bar industry loved the fucking bar industry. There was one point in time when I was 24. The reason why I stayed in it, right, because I had gone to school, you know, for 4 years. That what ended up keeping me around was I made like $80K as a 24-year-old, and it looked like 44 on paper. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna stick around. So my favorite silhouette, number 5. This is day number 5? Yeah. All right, so number 5.
So, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So these are definitely a special edition Jordan 5, right? So Jordan 5, I have really flat feet. Like I'm talking, a couple of my friends back in Herndon, Virginia, they call them flat iron steaks. Like,
Straight up.
yeah, they've almost had to fight me over that. But I'm a fan of the 5s. And the 5s just are a wider shoe that has a nice base, also has an air bubble to keep you nice and pocketed. You know what I mean? Also has these nice little like thick, pieces to them around the ankle, just like the Jordan 6s had.
So
the
slick how they kept
predecessor.
that in there
Right,
between the
between the
versions.
two versions, right? And then an awesome sole that I believe initially was like kind of a play off of between the 4s and 3s, and they meshed them together
Yeah.
to make the 5, right? So this is what we call the 3 Lab 5. They were a special edition. They also did a 5 Lab 3
Yup.
pairs of Jordan 3s, right? But they took the cement of the Jordan 3 and produced the whole silhouette, from toe box all the way back.
Yeah.
These guys I bought 2 pairs of. Kick Spot in DC, I sold one of them out of them, but these are actually one of my only pairs of size 14 shoes.
Straight up,
that
you
I
like
have
enjoy
left.
smaller.
Right, yeah, because I
Right.
it's like the only thing I get them. I got them in a 12 and a 13. I sold the 12 and a
Right.
14. I sold the 12s, kept the 14.
So they got an elephant print all
over it,
and then
yeah.
a cement on the flames.
Right.
But what I used to love about these
Yeah.
is this drip right here, yo, with the strings.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to love
Keep
that
you-
with
keep
the
you locked
strings,
in.
yo.
And not only that, but I'm dead serious. On the inside of this, they made these to perfection. I've worn multiple 5s, from Stealth 5s to Fire Red 5s. These feel like walking on a cloud. So thank you, Michael Jordan. Oh, true story. Michael Jordan wears a size 13. Don't think I don't know. I'm waiting for you to send me a pair of shoes, damn it. I bought way too much. And then mind you, it's also February, but it's also the Olympics right now. So another pair of shoes I had taken the shoelaces out. I keep all my shoes in boxes. You have big feet and you have too many pairs of shoes.
Son, you got
it's the
to.
only
You
one
have
way
to,
to
yeah.
keep it, right? So these ones came out, I think, like 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. They're Tinker Hatfield, who is like Jordan's main creator for a lot of his early shoes. You know what I mean? Produced, some of the rarities that we consider, the holy grails. Produced his originals. And this is an alternative to what he would have made Jordan's Olympic Dream Team shoe look like.
Word.
So there is an Olympic pair of
okay.
7s, right? And it doesn't have these like blue like accents. It doesn't have these like red splatter dots and whatnot. It definitely doesn't have this back piece on it here. But they are red, white, and blue, of course. And we've seen the iconic picture of Jordan. You know what I mean? Like yamming on somebody. And sure enough. The Tinker Hatfield alternative 7s, I like those more. I hate wearing the 7s because my flat feet makes them bulge out.
Oh, word.
Right, yeah, true story. But
I stopped at the 6s, but the 7s, I respect
Right,
them. You know what I'm
what I mean?
saying?
They're
They got
kinda
like the
weird
inner, they got like
silhouette.
the inner sock
right.
thing going on.
Yeah, to keep you nice and locked in. You also
Like,
got a pull
technically-
tab on the back. you know
Yeah,
what I
and
mean?
technically you don't need shoestrings with these.
And then lastly, this is a special shoe to me because I didn't buy these shoes. Yeah, so these last ones aren't actually this isn't the proper box for them. There is no box for them. This is the box for the shoes I have on my feet, Black History Month 3s. But this pair of Jordans, they're the original pair of Jordans.
Word.
Jordan 1s, right? The very first pair of Jordans that ever existed. This specific colorway never hit the market.
Word.
Yeah, I'm dead serious. I got these shoes 2 weeks ago.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. This is why. So my really good friend, he's like my Caucasian doppelganger in Adams Morgan. His name is Logan McGear. He's the chef at Rosario, a bar right up the street. We were hanging out, and he had constantly told me about one of his friends, Hef, that had gotten a shoe from a charity event from Richard Hamilton.
Okay.
Rip Hamilton used
Yeah,
to
Rip.
be the Washington D.C. player, and then also is what's the name called? I apologize. One is a champion and from the
Detroit.
Pistons, with the Pistons, and 2 is a Jordan brand player,
Okay,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
he was a Jordan brand player. So these were made for him. These are player edition that were made specifically for him. And he was giving them away in the size 13 that Hef couldn't fit. He knew Logan could fit him, but Logan's feet are like Fred Flintstone feet. I'm sorry, bro. I'm throwing it out there. So
Damn,
Logan wore them once to a concert, hence why the bottoms have a little bit of dust on them. I've never even worn these. One wear only. And these came from Richard Hamilton. So these are player editions. If you look in the inside, like there's barely any information on it. Like you see that? That's like, it's just like slapped on.
Yep.
But
It's not even a tag.
There's
like
not
it
even a
usually
real
is.
tag on these. Yeah, these are actual Rip Hamilton player edition charity
Everybody-
giveaways.
Y'all know I love gum soles. Gum soles crazy. It's crazy. And you know, the thing is that if you walk around with these on,
Yeah.
people might know, might not know, but you know.
I know. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Absolutely
saying?
know.
You know. That's dope, son. That's
Thanks, brother.
you got a jewel right there.
Right.
Man.
Tell me about it. I'm like, when he brought these to me, I was like, yeah, thank you.
Yo, big, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yo, that's great, man. I'm glad you shared about one. Let me see. Maybe 1/100th of your sneaker collection. He says not 300, but it is what it is. We're going with 300. Goddamn it! Great time, man. Great episode. I've had a good time here today, man. I appreciate your time. You spending it with us, and anything else you want to share with the folks before we leave, man? Your social media, anything like that?
You can follow me at Drink Mills. My name, but with a D at the beginning. That started here at Jack Rose, funny enough. Or my personal is When Your Dog is a Boss, because I have a beautiful dog named Boss. Lastly, I'd like to shout out to my cousin Julian, because he is followed in my footsteps in not only dreadlocks, but then his curation of his shoe collection. He's the boy underneath me in my family. And then I also just found out that I lost another cousin just yesterday.
Yep.
His name is Tyler, and he was a promising young linebacker out of Maryland that had a heart disease that nobody knew about, and had a seizure 2 weeks ago and never recovered from it, and yesterday pulled the plug. So I'm very happy today, but at the same time, it's on the back of my mind. I'm definitely thinking about you and our family. I love you. I wish you were still here.
All right, man. Yeah, I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Great time.
Absolutely.
Rest in peace, Tyler.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time, man.
Cheers.
Cheers. I don't have anything left, but cheers. All
I'll
right.
drink mine. Use the same ice. It's already bruised. Won't hurt nobody.
I'm gonna wait for you before I drink this.
Hey, first of all, right outside the door right now is the winner of the McCarty Legacy competition. Yeah, French.
Come in here, man.
French, come in here real quick, man. Come in.
Yo.
Hey, French.
What up?
He was out there filming me just now.
Congratulations. We talked about you a little while ago. You know what I'm saying? You did
Hey,
good things out
buddy.
of Miami.
Frank Mills in the house. The one and only.
Whiskey and Kicks podcast. Man, we're just sitting with Frank.
What kind of kicks you got on today?
Whiskey and kicks.
I already know you got some kicks on. Oh, baby.
All day.
For the one time. For
You
the
gotta get it
culture.
with the Commonwealth back. You know? I got it from this one on the
Commonwealth is literally right behind
I
us.
brought this Commonwealth together.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's one thing. Don't tell my managers, but every so often, like I just need a break. This is the thing. I don't smoke cigarettes. DC.
Yo, thanks for coming in, brother.
I appreciate y'all.
French, have a great evening, brother.
Absolutely.
All right, boss.
I'll catch up with you again
Yeah, we're
sometime.
gonna wrap.
Absolutely.
So right behind us is a Virginia-based 757 Virginia Beach, like urban shoe.